So, Chantal, you were saying that you grew up in a small town and had a very rustic life, but then you moved overseas to Italy, correct?
Yes, I moved to Bologna, Italy.
Wow, that's such a huge transition. What was that like? And why did you move to Italy?
Oh, wow. So I moved to Italy because I was studying abroad during my junior year at university. And so I was to do a immersion program at the University of Bologna, which means all of my classes were in Italian, all of my homework, all of my exams, everything was completely in Italian. And I also had to find my own housing, which was also the first time I found housing on my own, because I had always lived in the university dorms at my university in the United States. And so, yeah, to navigate, a new city, a city in general, and then finding my first apartment and learning how to survive a new university system, it was exhilarating and very exciting, and I loved it.
That's so cool. So, what was it like when you first got to Italy? Did you have culture shock? I mean, because you came from a small town environment, and now you're living in a big city in Europe.
I think my friends would probably say that I was very quick to trust everyone. As I mentioned before, growing up in a small town, I knew all my neighbors, and I was very trusting of strangers and very welcoming, and I still am. But in hindsight, when I moved to Italy, I think I was maybe a little too naive sometimes, and especially not knowing the language, it was easy to sort of put my trust or my faith in someone when I needed help, because I needed help often, whether for translating or even just grocery shopping. And so sometimes I think I look back and I'm like, oh, maybe I should have walked away a little bit sooner, right, or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, so compare life in Italy to life in the States. What was it like? How was it different?
Life in Italy feels so much slower. People are still very productive, and they're very passionate, and they go to their jobs and they go to work, but there's just this sense of how important it is to enjoy your time, and to enjoy your time with person. And so the combination of having all of that available in Italy, and especially the different regions are known for different foods. So sometimes you can't even eat a specific type of food unless you're in that city, or otherwise you'd have to pay a lot to get it at a different part of the country. So yeah, I mean, pizzas were delicious too. I know it's stereotypical, but the pizzas were awesome, and they're so different than the US. They're so thin, super, super thin. There's no like deep dish pizza in Italy, or double crust or cheese-filled crust that doesn't exist.
Exactly. Like it melts in your mouth, right?
Yeah, and it's so delicious. And pastas, of course, are great, and their wines are delicious too. And yeah, I miss Italian food a lot.
Well, I am thinking of going there, so you'll have to give me some tips.
I would love to.